Oh, it's here. It's here. It's finally here. For like a couple weeks. Link's Awakening. The game that was on the Game Boy and then the Game Boy Color because colors are cool. And then they totally remade it 100% like 30 years later or whatever for the Switch. Now, it's a good game. It's always been a good game. But then, they made the Switch version, and it's even a better game. And here's why. So, for people who don't know Link's Awakening was a game on the Game Boy that had events that was taking place after Link to the Past with that same Link. So it is technically a direct sequel, but it was on a handheld, boop, 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 boop. And, you know, Link's on sale for whatever reason. They don't really explain why he's going through the ocean, but he's doing it anyway. And then bad things happen, and then his ship crashes, and then he's on an island. But little do you know, it's Dream Island, which actually you find out like halfway through the story, but whatever. So it's a Dream Island, the Windfish is caught in a nightmare, and your job is basically to free the fish from said nightmare. So it is almost like it's all of a dream. It was all a dream story, but it's actually not, because the adventure actually, there was an end goal that you actually did complete that affected the real world of this Windfish, which you never see anywhere else. I don't know why the Windfish is a thing, because you don't see it anywhere else. He just does his own thing. He did that one adventure, and then no one mentions him ever again. Unless people think that the Bones in Breath of the Wild is a Windfish, but I think there's theories of, again, whatever. I'm not gonna get into that. But that's basically the synopsis of the story. You crash on an island, it's actually a dream island, you're stuck in it until you can free the Windfish from his nightmare, and it's depressing because you make relationships and there's people on the island that you do things for, and da-da-da-da-da. And then there's Marion, and she's cute, and she's like his love interest, and they like each other, but then she's still all a dream, but also kind of not. It's a whole thing. So playing through this, because I haven't played it since ever, like since the 90s, so I was lost during my stream. But like the first half of the game is actually relatively easy. The second half is where it gets like pretty hard, where like I definitely needed walkthroughs for some parts. Like, yeah, you can get hints, but then there are things like in the dungeons where like you have to take this ball and break a pillar. Like, why would I think of that? I tried bombing the pillar and it didn't work. So I'm like, oh, the item I had don't work, must not work. And then I was like, oh wait, this ball is a thing, and like there's a reason for this ball. We gotta figure it out. So dungeons can get pretty complicated, and trying to get to those dungeons, like trying to find these certain keys to open said dungeons, is kind of cryptic, kind of hard as well. You can definitely get it done without a walkthrough. There's definitely hints, like there's the phone guy where you go in, call up the phone, and like 75% of the time it's useful information, but he won't give you too much. You have to figure it out from there. But that's all from the original, and it's still good. It works your mind, and it's fun and stuff like that. There is definitely my favorite thing about the game that really makes it the definitive version. Not only that the graphics are the most adorable thing ever, and they're awesome and great, and it fits the theme of the game, more or less. And I like to imagine that that's only Link only looks like that in the dream world, because you got the animated sequence out there outside the dream world, but then once he's in the dream world, like, oh, I'm this cute thing. So I like to think that's a thing, but anyway. So the graphics, great. Frame rate drops are there, but they're in a game like this, it's not really bad because it only happens in the overworld. It does not happen in dungeons or small areas. It only happens in the overworld at certain points when the game's trying to load too much, because the Switch has something wrong with its RAM, and most people put it in sleep mode because that's just what it's set. So if you fully power it off and turn it back on, it'll reset things. So just think about that. But again, the frame drops is not that much of an issue, especially since the overworld It's not block by block like the original. It's a smooth, it's a scrolling screen, because why would they not do that when they have the technology now? So traversing the overworld is so much more fun because you're not going screen by screen by screen. You're going, it's scrolling. But the fact that you go screen by screen by screen still has things spawn in the same sector. So as you're, 5 meters away, you come back and it's like, oh, the plants are back, or the enemies are back, because the math still works out, I guess. I don't know. But it's still way better to traverse the world without a scrolling screen. The dungeons still have the scrolling screens, and then you have the main hub rooms that is free, but dungeons are still segregated because doors are a thing. So, and that. My favorite quality of life improvement, though, is the controls. The original game only had D-pad, start, select, A, B. So literally everything that wasn't even remotely an item had to be used for A and B, which means sword and shield, A and B. Pegasus boots and even the power bracelets, A and B. Everything had to be set to A and B, so you couldn't always have your sword and shield equipped and use items. You had to change and deliberate, okay, what is more important right now to use? And sometimes you have to use a combination of things, like Pegasus boots and feathers, or something like that. Now, A and B, sword and shield, always 100% bam. Using the shield is a separate button, and then Pegasus boots also a separate button, and then you still got Y and X for your actual items, and the power bracelets are passive items, meaning they're always on. Like, they totally could have programmed in the original. I don't know why they didn't, but they totally could have. But they didn't. I don't know why. So, just the controls themselves is worth getting the game. And then you got the graphical improvements, and then you're playing through an awesome game already, and it has a dungeon maker. It's not great, but it's a nice little side thing to do. Nice little creative thing you could work on. So basically, it's you have rooms from past dungeons that you've done, and then there's certain layouts that you have to work with. It's making the dungeon itself is a puzzle within itself. There are some things that are wrong with it that don't quite work out, so it's hard to kind of make the pieces fit, tool style. But it's there, and it's a good start for thinking of maybe a Zelda Maker, like in the veins of a Mario Maker game. But instead of just having segregated rooms, you actually make it. There is a Zelda Maker on Newgrounds, and I think they actually made their own site too. It's called Zelda Classic, where it's a drag and drop thing. And if Nintendo could take that idea and make it user friendly, because the desktop version is not user friendly. I mean, it is, but not exactly. That would be a good start. So it has something that the other versions don't have. So on top of awesome game, insane graphical improvements, obviously, and then quality of life stuff like with the controls, this is the objective, definitive version of the game. There's nothing that's worse about it. Literally everything is better about the game. And that's fact. Facebook guy that I had an argument with because you thought facts were opinions, and that's not a thing. Fact. Objectively, this is the better game. If you like playing the original version better for whatever reason, that's fine. Doesn't actually make it the better version though. And it's on the Switch, so it's still portable. So there's really no reason to not get the game if you like the game. And especially if you don't have the original version, because chances are you probably don't. The actual card. I know people emulate, but whatever. then this is a good buy. Some people are waiting for a price drop because they don't think it's worth 60 bucks. I think it was definitely worth my money, especially since they added a hard mode. So now if I want to play the game through the second time, I definitely can. But even though it's only a 14 to 20 hour experience, I still think that's still worth the money for everything that I got out of it. Like, people are complaining, it's only like a 10-hour experience. If you play the game a bunch of times, you know exactly what you're doing, yeah, it's going to be relatively short. I could be Ocarina of Time, in a 40-hour experience in half the time because I know the game way too well. Speedrunners could beat Link to the Past in like 10 minutes. Your point is mute. On average, it is about 15 hours though. Give or take, depending. It's the game. It's a good game. You should get it. That's all I gotta say. If you're a Zelda fan, like me, it's a must buy. You have to have it in your collection. For sure. And yeah, that's my rambling. I rambled even more this time than I did other times, so that's what happens when you don't use a script. So if you like this episode, thumbs up. If you want to see more from me, subscribe. And until next time, bye.